B-A-T-C-H-I-M-P-I-P-S. I've been B-A-T-C-H-I-M-P-I-P-S. I've been.
Hey, it's your man Charlie P, coming to you today with a brand spanking new strategy. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. But this strategy is called Hammer Time, and we're just gonna go jump straight into it. So the first rule of Hammer Time is that it is a New York session trade only. You will only enter this trade in the New York session. In my chart, the blue boxes all represent New York sessions. So the one we're actually looking at today, let's go ahead and highlight this area for you. We're going to be looking inside this box today as far as the trade the example we're focusing on. So H1 needs to breach a sharp minor support or resistance zone within the last day. You might think that sounds familiar to something, and if you do, yep, you're right. This is the Picotin strategy. Or freaking serious. Every time I try to record, somebody's either cutting grass or I get a delivery. This is some bull crap. You know what? I'm not cutting that out. Oh, and I got a dog, by the way. I guess y'all heard that. Got me a Doberman Pinscher. I got him like 3 months ago. But anyway, yeah, he's 5 months old, getting big on me. But anyway, jump back into this. Excuse all that commotion. But I'm just going to leave it in because why not? So the first rule, or the second rule, I guess, is it needs to break a minor support or resistance zone. That's very very similar to my Picotin strategy. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this or put a line on top of that. So this was our sharp area of resistance. H1 then broke and closed past that. And then the next rule is that H1 needs to retrace back down to the 10 EMA, and then it's going to start chopping. Once it starts chopping, the next thing that you're looking for is two things. One, you're going to look for the Ehlers-Fischer to come under the 50 level. And we want it under the 50 level on this situation because we're looking to buy. So you want it, if you're looking to buy, then you want Ehlers-Fischer under here. Look at it kind of like a slingshot type thing where you're pulling this back to spring up. All right, then after the Ehlers-Fischer is under the 50 for you, the next thing you want to look for is either a doji or a hammer candle that's in your direction. What I mean is, since we're looking to buy this, then we want a bullish hammer or a doji. So this bearish one doesn't count. But let's look at this first doji candle right here, this green one. Looking right here at this green one here. Ehlers-Fischer wasn't under the 50 when that happened. So then this one doesn't count because that's not a bullish one. And then this one, we got that rule met where the hammer candle is bullish. It closed bullish and it happened while the Ehlers-Fischer was under the 50 level. So now that rule is met. Now for your entry, you're going to be on the 15-minute time frame. So we're going to go down to the 15-minute time frame. Scroll back over and find where we were. There we go. All right. And then you're just going to make sure that you enter the trade on the opposite side of the 50 level. So since we're wanting to buy, we want to enter this trade while price is under the 50 level. Okay. So what we want to do is we're going to enter somewhere right up in here, or it gave us another opportunity right here. Oops. Right here. So you had two chances to enter that trade after we got that bullish doji, here and here. Once you entered that, you could have gotten upwards of 64, 65 pips on this trade on that particular day. Had you held it over the weekend, you see it went a long, long way. That was a very profitable trade. That's really it. That's the whole strategy. Let's go over some more examples. I'm going to go over maybe, let's do about 3 more examples or something like that. This was on GU. Actually, I can go because it was one on GU like yesterday, a couple of days ago. Here it is. So now we're going to look right here. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. All right. Here. Remember, it's a New York session trade only, so we're only going to enter this in New York. So H1 breached a resistance area on this one. I'll put a line right there. And when I'm saying it breaches a resistance area, we're only worried about the candle body, not the wick. So here's our sharp resistance. H1 came down, boom, broke that, closed above it. It retraced down to the 10 EMA. Now we got our bullish doji or a bullish hammer right there. Was that when the 50 EMA, the Ellis Fisher was under the 50 level? Yes. Because if we look down right there, it just got up under there, but it's under there. So at that point, you can go ahead and start looking for an entry. I'm going to go down to the 15-minute time frame. That was on July 11. Oops, I done jacked up my box. Ugh. But anyway, July 11th. And so really your entry is going to be right here. When price came down there, you get in the trade. Now, if you would have stayed in just for that day, that was it was a small trade. You would have got out with about 40 pips if you had held it till towards the end of the day. Had you held it into the Asian session, then you could have got upwards of 75 pips and so on and so forth. But this one would have scared you had you just been holding it like a swing trade, because it came down within about 10 pips of our entry. But as you see, it never would have taken you out. And so you technically could have got over 200 pips on that one on a swing trade. But I like to get out of trades the same day. So if I'm being completely honest, I would have took about 35 to 40 pips on that trade by the end of the day, because I would have been getting impatient and I'd have been like, doggone it, it didn't move, I'm getting out. That's what would have happened. But it was a valid trade. Another example. Let's check out, let's see, I think I've got this pulled up and ready. Yep. All right. So on Euro CAD, here's one. We're going to look in this area. Here's our sharp area of support, or resistance. Price came down. Then it came back up and broke through. It closed past this sharp area of resistance. It retraced down to the 10 EMA and it started chopping and chopping and chopping. Here's our bullish hammer to the upside. We need to double check and make sure we got that bullish hammer while the Ellis Fisher was under the 50 level. It is cool. Then you already know. Go down to M15 and where were we? Here we go. Go down to M15. You would have entered the trade right up in here, somewhere right around in there, and then you could have caught over 100 pips that same day. Easy peasy. That's all it is to it. Let's check out an example of a sell on this trade. All right, let me go ahead and highlight what we're looking at here. Okay, so here you have a sharp area of support in the Asian session on this one, because it came down and then it never, it's kind of consolidated, but if you notice how those dojis just they went straight up, I still would say that's sharp enough. And so at that point, price comes and it breaks through and closes past that. It retraces up to the 10 EMA. And since now we're looking to sell, we want the Ellis Fisher above the 50 EMA. The 50 level this time down here we want a bearish doji. So here, a bearish doji or hammer. Sorry. Now here we have a bearish doji candle, but you see the Ellis Fisher wasn't above the 50 level when we got that. So that one don't count. This one, we got a bearish hammer candle and it was just barely, it was like right on the line, hugging that thing. So that one I'm going to count. And I'm going to say that's a valid hammer time candle. All right. So this was March 9th. So now we just look to enter the trade. So we go down to the 15-minute time frame. And then you would have gotten in. Let me move that line out the way because it's in the way of my entry. So you see the wicks it barely wicked that 50 EMA a couple times. So ideally that little one right there, if you can see it, I don't know, but it touched the 50 EMA 3 more times after that candle happened. So you would have entered. Shut up. You jacking up my video, man. Hey, come on now. You ain't barked all day. Now I'm recording. You want to go off? Golly. Sorry, y'all. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So you would have got in right here. You could have caught about 64 pips if you would have gotten out that day. If you would have held it into the Asian session, you could have caught a few more pips. But I would have said take 60 pips and dip on that one. Oh, you know what? I know one more example. It just happened. We had CPI earlier this week, but we had a hammer time trade on gold when CPI happened. So let's do this one. This will be the last. This will be the last example I go over. So we're gonna look right hither, and all right, now we've got a sharp area of resistance here. So I'm gonna draw a line there because this is what I want to be broken. Now this isn't the most sharp thing I've ever seen, but because of these two candles right here at the top kind of breaking away from these other ones, that kind of made it sharp versus consolidation in my eyes. So I counted that, but I will say that's a little bit of a tricky sharp point to recognize, a sharp area of resistance to recognize. However, it came up, broke through. There's our break. Next rule comes down, it retraces down to the 10 EMA and it starts chopping. Then we start looking for a bullish doji or a bullish hammer. Here's one right here. Now remember, it's going to happen in the New York session. So this one, like, you can count it. This bullish, what's the name? What you call that? Doji? Because it was valid. It was valid because the Elias Fisher was under the 50 level when that one happened. I just prefer mine to be a little bit more into the New York session. And so we got another one right here. And that one right here, I'm like, hey, yeah, I like that. So 7 o'clock hits, or I'm sorry, I'm thinking like y'all all in my time zone. But 7 o'clock Central Time hits, since I guess I will point that out. I don't enter trades for New York session. I don't enter any trades before 7 a.m. Central Time, which would be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's just me. But anyway, we would have went to the 15-minute time frame because we got all the rules met. And this candle right here, this bullish candle right here, this is the 7 o'clock candle. So when 7 o'clock actually happened, price was down here. This would have been your entry. This was CPI news. So you see CPI news respected this strategy or respected the setup. And this one was over a 200 pip trade. So had you got in down there, you're looking at about 250 pips on that trade, potentially for that day. I actually skipped out on that trade, honestly, because of CPI news. I was scared of it because CPI be doing some crazy stuff sometimes. After it happened, of course, I'm like, crap, I should have got in on that one. But I will admit, I did sit that one out, even though I saw the setup. And yeah, I paid the price of feeling bad, feeling like, dang it, I missed out on all that money. But it is what it is. The setup was valid, and that's another good example to give you. So that is hammer time in a nutshell. Hope you like it. I know it's it's something new, so it'll take some practice to start seeing it. And I will also say, hammer time normally, like as you see the examples I showed you, most of them were buys. I haven't seen that many hammer times as a sell. Not saying they won't start coming as a bunch of sales. I'm just saying I've seen mostly buys for this strategy. So that's just something else I want to point out. That's about all I can think of, guys. So if you have any other questions and stuff, just put them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, hammer time, hammer time.